Hello guys, welcome back to Technohack. This is Parikshit here, back again with a new video. And in the continuation of our web application vulnerability series, this is also going to be another video where we are going to learn about the XXE, and that is the blind XXE. So I hope you are enjoying this series and the things that I'll teach to you guys. If you have any comments or queries, please do comment in the comment section below and let me know how can I help you further. Alright, so we have seen in the previous video what is XXE, and we have also seen what is in-band XXE, and we have seen how to find it and how to perform it into the system, right? So the similar way, now we are going to learn about the blind XXE, right? What is blind XXE, or what is blind external entity injection, how we find it, okay, and how we perform it. So this is what we're going to see in this video. We'll see how we will perform it by using some practical examples, and I will show you how you can do that. Alright, so without taking any further delay, let's jump into the video. And before that, if you are new to the video, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you will not miss the next videos that I'm going to upload. Alright, and if you like this video, please make sure to hit the like button. So let's get started. So as we have seen in our previous video, we used the same thing and similar way of accessing the server internal file, and we could get the API key where we did the SSRF, right? So the similar way we are going to use, and we can now understand how we are going to exploit the blind XXE. Because it is blind, will not be getting any kind of error or will not be getting any kind of result in here. But if you want to understand how this works, or we want to understand whether the XXE is there or not, we want to use the similar way of what we did in our SSRF thing, right? The difference here is we will be using the URL here which an attacker or we will be managing, right? So that we can then track to this particular URL, and we want to check if we are getting any DNS request on our URL or not. And for this, I think Burp Collaborator is the good thing that we can use, and we can easily check by clicking on the Poll Now option, and we can see whether anything is happening on our, or any request we are getting on our Burp Collaborator ID or not. Okay, so let's try that now. So this lab is saying that it has a checkstock feature that parses the XML input but does not display the result, and that's what I told you guys. Because it is a blind, it will not give you any kind of result or error to you, so you will not understand whether the XXE vulnerability lies there or not. And that's the thing we want to explore now. And to do that, the same thing that we are going to do, so you can do here is like you can detect the blind XXE vulnerability by triggering the out of band interaction with the external domain, and this is where we are going to use our Burp Collaborator ID. So to solve the lab, use the external entity, make the XML parser issue a DNS request or DNS lookup and HTTP request to Burp Collaborator. So let's access the lab and try it. We got a lab ID, we'll just change it in target scope, and that's all. I think let me just clear it out and let me just refresh the page. We got the request here, and we have the vulnerability in the checkstock feature. So we have to go to this field and we have to go to check stock. We got the stock. We will just check that request. Here it is. I will send it to the repeater, and we can see we have it. So this is exactly we know what is the payload and what we want to do. So let me just take that out, and here it is. I'll just copy it. Okay, let's go to this field, and once it is there, let me put it here. And instead of this URL, we are simply going to do is our Burp Collaborator ID. So let me just copy that. Burp Collaborator client, copy to clipboard, and I will just put it here. Okay, and then paste it. That's all. instead of any server internal URL or any file, because it is a blind. So before that, let me just now here let me try like a file colon double slash slash etc pass wd, and let me say go, and you can see invalid product ID. So we are only able to see is this error, we are not able to see the result. So something is fishy, something is not right, means we are not able to see result, but there might be something. So how we will check whether really the vulnerability is there or not? And that's why we want to now do is DNS query. We are querying a particular burp collaborator ID, and let's say go, and we'll come back here and we'll see pool now. Let's see now. Okay, we are able to see some interaction. We can clearly see that DNS and HTTP is what queried here. Okay, the request was received from this IP. This is the lab IP it should be. Okay, I think the lab should be solved by now. So let's see, and let's go to home page maybe. Let's see if it is solved. Oh great, it is solved, guys. So this is how we can check whether this particular site is really having XXE vulnerability or not. And we have seen clearly how we are able to get it just by using some out of band interaction, like using some external domain to get the DNS or any kind of HTTP request. Okay, alright, so I hope you understood this. Let's move on to the next concept with some blind XXE but with some different parameter entities. So till now what we are doing is like we are calling the entity externally, right? We are like updating this kind of XXE in the product ID and we are calling it. So sometime when application validate it properly, it accordingly throws the error. Why? Because it is calling that particular entity externally, and so application validates it and it throws the error, or it doesn't allow during that time. So how you can bypass it then? So for that, this is what you have to do here. To bypass that, you have to declare that particular entity, or you have to call that particular entity from within the same document type, right? Within the same document type, we need to call that particular entity. And how you can do it? So we'll be giving a %sign before declaring or before creating entity here, or before the entity name. And once we give the reference to any particular site here or any particular thing what we want to do, we will be calling that particular entity again, right? So here exactly we are calling it because we have declared it here. We are calling the entity into or within the same document type here itself, right? So this is how you can then bypass it. Let's understand the lab and let's see how you can then do it. So in here, this is exactly the blind XXE with out of band interaction via XML parameter entities, and it says that this lab has a checkstop feature that passes the XML input, but it does not display any expected value. So this is we will see now, and it blocks the request that containing the regular external entity. And to solve the lab, use the parameter entity to make the XML parser issue a DNS lookup and HTTP request to burp collaborator. So same thing we have to do. The only difference here is we need to update or call the entity within that particular same document type. And let me just click on this. Okay, so we have it, and we will click on check stock. We got the stock, and we can now see this is the request. Let me send it to repeater, and we have it here. Alright, so here you can see the same thing, and we want to update the same payload here. Now let's just like copy it like this way, the old payload which we used, and let me just put it here. And this is something like we created an entity, and we just referred it to a particular site. Okay, or let me just put it to some like file colon double slash slash etc pass wd. Okay, and then I will be calling to entity. Okay, so like it will be calling to XXE with semicolon. So I will just say go, and now you can see it is clearly telling in the error that entities are not allowed for security reason. So here entity is what we have given, and this is clearly telling that it is declared outside, and that's the reason we have to declare, or we have to define it, or we have to call it inside the document type itself. So this is of no use now. We can just keep the value as it is. And as I told you how you can do that, it is just a simple way. You have to just give a % here, and you have to call it within the document type, right? So before you close the document type, you have to call it, right? And this is where we are going to do. We have just updated it over here, and we don't need to give anything here because we are not calling the entity at all from outside the document type. And so we want to again create any burp collaborator ID. So let's just create anything, like copy it, and you want to give it to this particular file. Okay, so http://burp collaborator ID, and we have already specified the entity. We have already called it within the document type. So let's go now, and once we're done, it is saying XML parsing error, and I think let's just forget it and let's just try to do poll now. Let's see. Okay, that's good. I think we have a request. We got the DNS and HTTP request that received from this particular IP. So I think that is done. We now understood that how it works, right? And here we can see the lab is solved, because this lab, or the IP of this lab, has sent a request to a DNS request and HTTP request to my burp collaborator ID, and we got it in our burp, right? So we understood that this is how the XXE vulnerability is definitely there, which we could not able to see because it was blocking it, because it was not allowing the external entities to be called outside the DTD, right? So we have declared it, or we have called it within the DTD, and that worked it, right? Alright guys, so I hope you understood this lab as well, and I hope you understood the concept of blind XXE, what it is, how to find it, and how to exploit this blind XXE. Okay, alright, so if you have any doubts or questions, please do comment below. I will try to help you out with that. And if you like this video, please hit the like button. Your one like will motivate me to do these videos and help you out with this kind of web application vulnerabilities. Alright, so I will meet you in the next videos where we will be talking about some other concept of XML. We'll solve some labs again, and definitely then later we'll move on to the remediation part as well, that how you can prevent this kind of vulnerabilities. I will meet you in the next video guys. Thanks for watching and have a great day, and bye bye.